Welcome to Smart Livestock, where livestock meets innovation, enterprise, and transformation. Let me ask you something very important. Have you ever looked at Ethiopia and wondered where the next big wave of economic opportunity will come from? People often talk about technology, manufacturing, construction, or services. But what if the biggest opportunity is already here, right in front of us, and has been there for decades? What if I told you that Ethiopia already has one of the largest untapped business opportunity in Africa, and yet most people, entrepreneurs, investors, even policymakers are completely ignoring its full potential? This is not about imagination. This is about a real sector that already exists in every region of the country. I am talking about livestock. Now, when most people hear livestock, they think only about traditional farming. They imagine cattle grazing in rural areas, goats and sheep are in markets, maybe milk production in small households. But what is a very limited view? Because livestock is not just farming animals, it is an entire economic system. It is hidden economy that connects many industries together, starting from production, where animals are bred and raised, to processing, where milk becomes dairy products, meat becomes packaged food, and hides becomes leather, to logistics and trade, where products move from rural areas to cities and export markets, to international export systems where livestock products generate foreign currency. And even beyond that, we are now entering a new era where livestock is connected to modern technology, digital tracking systems, smart feeding systems, data-driven veterinary services, and even artificial intelligence that can predict diseases, optimize production, and improve market efficiency. So, what we are really talking about is not just agriculture. We are talking about a full economic ecosystem, one that combines traditional knowledge with modern innovation, and one that has not yet been fully structured or fully utilized in Ethiopia. And that is exactly why this video matters, because today I am going to show you something powerful, a complete system, a structured framework of 100 livestock business opportunities, all organized into 12 major categories that cover the entire value chain. And let me be very clear about something important. This is not theory. This is not random ideas collected without structure. This is not motivational talk. This is a system level map of real business opportunities designed to show how the livestock sector can be transformed into a modern, organized, and high-value economic engine. In other words, we are not just listing opportunities, we are mapping an entire transformation structure for one of the most important sectors in Ethiopia's economy. And once you understand this system, you will never look at livestock the same way again. Right now, millions of people in Ethiopia are actively searching for jobs, income opportunities, and sustainable livelihoods. Estimates show that every year over 2 million young people enter the labor market in Ethiopia, while formal job creation remains far below this demand. In many cases, unemployment and underemployment together affect a large portion of the youth population, especially in rural and semi-urban areas. At the same time, Ethiopia has one of the largest livestock population in Africa. The country is home to approximately over 70 million cattle, along with tens of millions of sheep and goats, and rapidly growing poultry and apiculture systems. In fact, Livestock contributes around 30 up to 40% of agricultural GDP and supports the livelihoods of more than 60 to 70% of rural households in one way or another. So, on the surface, this looks like a strong system. A country with massive livestock resources and a large population engaged in agriculture, but there is a major structural problem. One, system is fragmented. The first challenge is fragmentation. The livestock system is not operating as one coordinated economic engine. It is broken into small, disconnected activities. A farmer produces milk in one place, another farmer sells cattle in another market. A trader moves an animal without standardized systems, but there is no strong integration between production, processing, logistics, and markets. This fragmentation means value is lost at every step. Two, low value capture. Farmers are producing, but most of the value is not captured by them. For example, in many cases, a liter of raw milk is sold at very low farmer gets prices. Yet the same milk, after processing, packaging, and branding, can multiply in value services times in urban markets. But because processing systems are limited, a large share of livestock products in Ethiopia is still sold in raw or unprocessed form. This means the country is not capturing the full economic value of its own production. Third, a strong middleman control. Another structural issue is markets controlled by intermediaries. In many livestock value chains, middlemen dominate the movement of animals and products from rural producers to urban markets. They often determine prices, access to markets, and transaction flows. This reduces the bargaining power of farmers and creates inefficiency where producers receive a smaller share of final market value. In economic terms, this creates a distorted value distribution system. Fourth, weak processing industry. Processing is one of the most critical missing links. While Ethiopia produces large volume of milk, meat, and other livestock outputs, the industrial processing capacity remains limited compared to demand. For example, only a small portion of milk production is formally collected and processed through industrial systems. Meat processing and packaging systems are also not fully scaled to export level standards in many regions. This means a large share of production doesn't reach higher value domestic or international markets. Fifth, limited quality assurance systems. Another major challenge is quality control. In modern in modern livestock economies, quality assurance systems determine access to high-value markets. But in Ethiopia, structured grading, certification, traceability, and standardized inspection systems are still developing. This creates barriers for export competitiveness and reduces trust in formalized value chains. In many cases, quality is assessed informally rather than through standardized systems. Low level of technological integration. Perhaps one of the most critical gaps is the limited integration of modern technology. In advanced livestock systems globally, we see the use of digital animal identification systems, smart feeding technologies, disease prediction models, data-driven market systems, artificial intelligence for production optimization. But in Ethiopia, these systems are still in early stage or pilot levels in many areas. This creates a major productivity gap compared to global standards. Seventh, underutilization of byproducts. Another overlooked issue is waste and byproduct underutilization. Manure, hides and skins, bones, and other byproducts are often not fully converted into high-value economic outputs. Yet, globally, these materials feed into industries such as organic fertilizer production, biogas energy systems, laser manufacturing, industrial materials. This means Ethiopia is losing additional hidden revenue streams within the same system. Summary of this structural gap. So when we combine all of this together, we see a clear picture: a country with massive livestock resources, a sector that contributes up to one-third of agricultural GDP and supports the majority of rural livelihoods, but still operating with fragmented systems, weak processing capacity, limited value capture, market inefficiency, underdeveloped technology integration, and incomplete quality assurance systems. So, what we do really have? We have a sector full of potential, but not yet fully structured into a modern, integrated, high-value business ecosystems. And this is exactly the gap we are going to solve. Because what you are about to see next is not just a list of ideas. It is a complete system of 100 livestock business opportunities designed to transform this entire structure into a coordinated economic engine. The big idea: 100 business opportunities. This is the core revelation. After deep mapping of the livestock value chain in Ethiopia, we went beyond surface level observation and studied the entire system step by step, from production at the farm level to movement of animals and products to processing industries to market structures to export systems and even the hidden areas that most people never think about. And through this detailed mapping, we identified something extremely important. Most people think livestock has only a few business opportunities, maybe 5, maybe 10 at best. For example, dairy farming, poultry farming, cattle fattening. But this is very narrow view of very large systems. Because when you break down the livestock value chain properly, you discover that every single step in the system is actually a business opportunity, and not just one, but multiple interconnected opportunities within each stage. The big discovery. So what did we find? We found that there are not just 4, 5, or 10 opportunities. There are 100 different scalable business opportunities within the livestock sector alone. 100 different. 100, 100. 100? Yes, 100. And these are not random ideas. They are structured, connected, and system-based opportunities. Each one represents a real economic activity that can be developed, invested in, or scaled into a business. How the system is organized, and to make this powerful system understandable and usable, we organized these 100 opportunities into 12 major categories. These categories are not arbitrary. They are based on how the livestock economy actually functions in real life. Each category represents a core pillar of the ecosystem. So, instead of looking at livestock as scattered activities, we are now looking at it a complete economic system. These 12 categories cover the entire livestock ecosystem from the beginning to the end of the value chain, and even the hidden support systems that make everything work. For example, 1. Breeding and production systems, where everything starts. This includes animal breeding, genetic improvement, commercial farming systems, and productivity optimization. Second, feed and nutrition systems, because no livestock system works without feed. This includes feed production, formulation, distribution, and supply chains. Third, veterinary and animal health services, covering disease prevention, treatment systems, mobile veterinary service, diagnostics, and pharmaceutical supply chains. Fourth, dairy and milk value chain systems, from raw milk production to collection, chilling, processing, packaging, and dairy product innovation. Fifth, Meat and poultry systems, including slaughter systems, poultry farming, meat processing, and distribution networks. 6. Small ruminant value chains. Sheep and goat production system, especially important for local consumption and export markets. 7. Fish and aquaculture systems, modern fish farming, feed systems, hatcheries, and processing industries. 8. Apiculture and honey value chains, bee farming, honey processing, wax production, and pollination services. 9. Quality assurance and certification systems, grading, traceability, export certification, inspection systems, and food safety frameworks. 10. Hide and skin and leather industry, transforming animal products into high-value leather and industrial materials. 11. Waste management and circular economy, manure processing, biogas production, organic fertilizer systems, and waste to energy solutions. 12. Digital data and AI systems, smart livestock tracking, digital platforms, artificial intelligence powered disease prediction, and market intelligence systems. Why this structure matters? And there is the most important part. These 12 categories are not separate. They are interconnected. They function like a single system. For example, a dairy farm depends on feed systems. Feed systems depend on crop and input supply chains. Veterinary service protects production. Processing adds value. And quality systems connect everything to export markets. This is what we call a value chain ecosystem, not isolated businesses. So, what we are really doing here is not just listing business ideas. We are mapping an entire economic transformation system. On that connects production, processing, technology, markets, and waste utilization into a single structured framework. And this is exactly why the livestock sector is one of the most powerful, but still underdeveloped economic opportunities in Ethiopia. And now that you understand the system, we can go deeper into each of the 12 categories and break down the 100 real business opportunities only by one by one. Why is this a game changer? Now, why is this important? Because each category alone is already a big industry. But when you connect all 12 categories together, you get a full livestock transformation economy. For example, a dairy farm doesn't just produce milk. It connects to feed production, veterinary services, transport, processing plants, and quality assurance systems. A poultry farm connected to hatcheries, feed factories, and digital tracking systems. This is how modern economies are built, not isolated activities, but integrated systems. And this is exactly what Ethiopia needs. Vision of transformation. Imagine a future where livestock is no longer traditional, but fully modernized, where farmers use mobile apps to track animals, where milk is collected, tested, and processed in real time, where waste from livestock becomes energy and fertilizer, where Ethiopians meat and dairy products meet global export standards, where AI systems help predict disease outbreaks before they happen. This is not a dream. This is a structured opportunity that already exists within the system we mapped. What makes this series unique? This video is just the beginning. In the next videos, we'll break down each category one by one. For example, we'll go deep into cattle business opportunities, then dairy systems, then poultry, and so on. In each category, we'll explore real business models, investment ideas, and scalable opportunities. This is not entertainment content. This is an innovation and entrepreneurship roadmap. Who this system is really for? This series is not created for only one group of people. This is designed for multiple layers of society because the livestock sector itself is no longer a simple rural activity. It is now a multi-billion economic system. that connects agriculture, industry, trade, technology, and finance. But before we go into who this who this is for, there is something very important we must understand about history, the historical shifts, the new era of livestock, but that reality has completely changed. Today, livestock is no longer just about keeping animals. It is no longer only about traditional production systems, and it is no longer a sector that can survive only through informal experiences. Today, livestock is becoming a complex economic and industrial systems, a system that combines science, technology, business, data, and market integration. Modern livestock systems now require deep professional knowledge in areas such as animal science and genetics, feed formulation and precision nutrition, veterinary medicine and disease surveillance, dairy and meat processing technologies, market economics and value chain systems, digital livestock tracking and data analytics, artificial intelligence and predictive systems, industrial transformation and export standards. In other words, the livestock sector is no longer a low skill survival activity. It has become a professional, technical, and innovation driven industry. The professional mindset shifts. And this creates a very important national question. If the livestock sector is becoming highly technical and knowledge driven, then where are the professionals? Where are where are the professionals? Ethiopia has thousands of trained professionals in animal science, veterinary medicine, dairy technology, livestock economics, and related fields. But historically, many of these professionals were not encouraged to see livestock as a modern business sector. In fact, in many cases, graduates from livestock related fields developed low professional confidence toward their own disciplines. Some hesitate to proudly say, I am an animal scientist. Others shift their identity toward unrelated fields after graduation or introduce themselves mainly through additional qualifications outside livestock sectors. This is not because the profession lacks importance. This is because society historically underestimated the economic power and modern relevance of livestock industries, and this mindset has slowed transformation. Call for professionals from distance support to direct leadership. And there is another important reality we must address honestly. Many livestock professionals support the sector, but from a distance. They work in public institutions, in research centers, in universities, in NGO-funded projects, in government offices, and these contributions are valuable, very valuable. But the problem is structural. Too few professionals directly build enterprise inside the livestock economy itself. We have many experts supporting projects, but not enough experts building scalable livestock businesses. Not enough professionals establishing processing industries, not enough innovation-driven livestock startups, not enough digital livestock platforms, not enough modern commercial livestock systems led by professionals themselves. And these has consequences. When knowledge remains outside the marketplace, innovation slows down, industrial transformation slows down, and the livestock sector remains underdeveloped despite massive national potentials. Direct message to professionals. So this is a direct message to veterinarians, to animal scientists, to livestock researchers, to agricultural economists, to engineers, to AI and data specialists, to business graduates. This sector is no longer a place to observe from a distance. This is now a sector to actively build, to modernize, to industrialize, and to lead. The future livestock leaders will not only be service providers, they will be enterprise creators, technology innovators, processors, exporters, platform builders, and ecosystem architects. Because the future of livestock transformation depends not only on policy, but on professionals entering the market with vision, innovation, and leadership. Call for farmers and pastoralists, from suppliers to value creators. And this message is for farmers and pastoralists. For generations, many livestock producers have remained mainly at the lowest end of the value chain, producing animals, selling raw milk, supplying livestock to traders, and remaining disconnected from higher value business opportunities. But this model is no longer enough in modern economy. The future is not only about production, it is about ownership within the value chain. The opportunity now is to move upward to become processors, aggregators, commercial producers, brand owners, and export-oriented business operators. For example, instead of only selling raw milk, you can participate in dairy collection, processing, packaging, and branded product systems. Instead of only supplying live animals, you can engage in commercial fattening, genetic improvement systems, meat processing, and export-focused livestock enterprises. The future belongs to those who move beyond survival production and enter full participation in livestock business ecosystems. Call for investors and livestock product users. And this message is also for investors and even for consumers of livestock products. If you consume milk, if you buy meat, if you use leather products, if you depend on livestock products in daily life, then you are already connected to this economy. But this should not remain only a consumption economy. It should become an investment economy, because behind every livestock product, there are entire value chain waiting to be modernized, expanded, and industrialized. This includes processing industries, feed manufacturing systems, export businesses, cold chain logistics, digital livestock platforms, animal health systems, quality assurance industries, waste to energy enterprises. These are not small activities, they are major economic opportunities. Call for financial institutions and policymakers. And there is another critical message, a message for financial institutions, for banks, for microfinance institutions, for investors, and for policymakers. If Ethiopia truly wants to transform the livestock sector, then we must first transform how we think about the livestock economy itself. For too long, livestock has been treated mainly as a traditional rural activity, not as a strategic investment sector. And because of this mindset, many livestock entrepreneurs still struggle to access finance. In many cases, a young entrepreneur with a livestock business idea finds it easier to secure support for urban trade or small commerce than for a modern livestock enterprise with real production potential. Why? Because historically, livestock was often perceived as high risk, low return, and informal. But the world has changed and the livestock economy has changed. Today, livestock is not an isolated farming activity. It is one of the most interconnected economic systems in the country. When livestock grows, feed industries grow, veterinary services grow, transport and logistics grow, processing industries grow, export revenues grow, technology systems grow, rural incomes grow, and national economic activity expands. In other words, investing in livestock is not supporting one activity, it is activating an entire economic ecosystem. The livestock sector creates impact at multiple levels simultaneously: At household level, it creates income, nutrition, resilience, and employment. At community level, it stimulates local market and business activity. At national level, it contributes to food systems, industrialization, export earnings, and economic growth. This is why livestock is not simply an agricultural issue. It is a national economic transformation sector. Call for financial mindset shifts. At this where a major mindset shift is needed. Financial institutions must begin seeing livestock entrepreneurs not as informal borrowers, but as a builders of strategic national industries. The modern livestock entrepreneur is not simply raising animals, they are building supply chains, processing systems, commercial feed enterprises, digital livestock platforms, export businesses, and industrial value chains. And the systems require financing, they require investment, they require long-term confidence. So this is a direct message to banks, to microfinance institutions, to development finance organizations, to impact investors. The era has changed. The livestock economy is changing, and financial systems must evolve with it. This is the time to expand livestock financing, to develop specialized livestock loan products, to develop specialized livestock loan products, to support youth livestock entrepreneurs, to finance processing industries, to invest in value chain infrastructure, to support innovation-driven livestock enterprise. Because without finance, transformation remains slow, but when finance meets innovation, the entire sector can accelerate. And this is also a message for policymakers. If we want Ethiopia to fully benefit from its livestock potential, then livestock must move from the margins of development thinking to the center of economic transformation strategy. This requires a strong livestock investment policy, better financing ecosystems, market infrastructure, export support systems, quality assurance frameworks, technology integration, and coordinated value chain development. Because countries do not transform sectors accidentally, they transform them intentionally. Ethiopia already possesses the animals, the resources, the indigenous knowledge, the professionals, and the market opportunities. What is needed now is coordinated vision, investment, leadership, and the courage to finally treat livestock not as a backward sector of the past, but as a strategic industry of the future. Because when livestock transformation succeeds, it doesn't benefit only one entrepreneur, it benefits households, communities, industries, and the entire nation. So this is a final position message. So let us now summarize the transformation clarity. This series is not simply educational content. It is not just business motivation, and it is not only discussion about livestock. This is a call for structural transformation, a call to rethink how Ethiopia sees livestock, how institutions support livestock, how professionals engage with livestock, and how the country builds value from one of its largest economic resources. If you are an entrepreneur, this is your opportunity map. If you are an investor or financial institution, this is guide to an interconnected economy with massive untapped potentials. If you are a policy maker, this is a framework for economic transformation, industrialization, and job creations. If you are a student or young professional, this is a roadmap toward future industries and innovation-driven careers. And if you are already working in agriculture, livestock, research, extension, or development systems, this may completely redefine how you understand your own profession and responsibility. Because the future of livestock transformation cannot depend only on traditional systems, it requires professionals who build, investors who believe, financial institutions that support, policymakers who prioritize, and producers who move from survival into value creations. Because livestock is no longer a traditional survival activity, it is becoming a strategic, professional, technology driven, and high value economic sector. The final summary of this message. So let us summarize everything clearly. Ethiopia possesses one of the largest livestock resources in Africa, a sector capable of generating income, jobs, industrial growth, export earnings, and national economic transformation. But despite this enormous potential, the sector remains significantly underutilized, not because resources are absent, but because systems remain fragmented, investment remains limited, innovation remains insufficient, and value chain integration remains incomplete. And this is exactly why this framework matters, because within this sector, there are hundreds of scalable business opportunities organized into 12 interconnected categories covering production, processing, technology, finance, quality systems, export markets, and industrial transformation. This is not theory. This is not a motivational storytelling. This is a practical transformation framework for economic growth, for innovation, for industrialization, and for national job creation. And now the journey begins. In the next video, we enter the first category, the cattle business ecosystems, and we explore real business models and real investment opportunities and real pathways for transforming one of the Ethiopia's most important livestock sectors. So, if you believe Ethiopia's future must be built not only through consumption, but through production, innovation, enterprise, and value creation, then this series is for you. Join the team, subscribe, share, copy link, follow the journey, and become part of the transformation. Because the future of livestock in Ethiopia will not be built by tradition alone. It will be built by knowledge, vision, innovation, investment, and business leadership. This is smart livestock, transforming the future of livestock through innovation, enterprise, and vision.